The first sign of trouble came on a Tuesday. A monitoring station at the edge of our solar system picked up something strange. The object was huge and moving fast, heading straight toward the inner planets. It didn't follow normal paths like asteroids or comets. Instead, it moved with purpose, changing direction as if guided by an intelligent mind. Captain Maya Donovan received the alert while commanding the UEF Interceptor, Earth's most advanced military spaceship. Her orders were simple: investigate the object and report back. Command thought it was probably just an unregistered mining ship from one of the outer colonies. Approaching the target now, Donovan reported as her ship closed in. Still no response. To our hails, then everything went wrong. All communication systems on the interceptor failed at once. The radar screens filled with static. Even the emergency backup systems went dark. "What's happening?" demanded Donovan, turning to her crew. But they weren't looking at her. Every person on the bridge stared out the main viewport with wide, frightened eyes. Against the blackness of space floated a massive vessel, unlike anything humans had ever built. Its surface was dark and smooth like polished obsidian, reflecting no light. It had no visible engines, weapons, or windows. Yet somehow everyone who saw it knew immediately this was a weapon. Defensive positions. Prepare 2 Donovans. Order was cut short as the strange ship released a single pulse of energy. The pulse tore through the interceptor as if its reinforced hull were made of paper. Oxygen tanks ruptured and ignited. From Mars, observers would later report seeing a new star briefly flash into existence before fading away. In her final moments, Captain Donovan activated the emergency beacon and recorded one last message. "It's not attacking, it's analyzing." The mysterious warship continued forward, leaving destruction in its wake. Research stations went silent. Mining outposts disappeared. Investigation teams found them stripped of their computer cores and artificial intelligence systems, as if the warship were collecting information on Earth. Military leaders gathered in emergency meetings. They watched with growing horror as the space war machine approached Mars. "What are its intentions?" asked General Hammond, head of Earth's defense forces. "Unknown," replied the chief scientist. "But it hasn't directly attacked civilian targets. Yet it seems to be ... studying us." That theory changed when the warship reached Mars orbit. Without warning, it fired a beam of energy at Deimos, the smaller of Mars' 2 moons. The entire moon shattered into millions of pieces, vaporizing completely in a blinding flash. "That wasn't an attack," whispered an analyst, her face pale. "That was a test. It wanted to see what its weapons could do." Emergency evacuation orders went out to all Mars colonies. Earth's military mobilized every available ship. Planetary defense systems, designed to protect against asteroids, were quickly reprogrammed to target the approaching warship. As night fell across Earth, millions looked up at the sky, wondering if this would be humanity's final hour. News channels showed the same footage over and over, the destruction of Deimos replayed in slow motion. Scientists struggled to explain the technology that could destroy a moon with such ease. Religious leaders called for prayer. Some people fled to underground bunkers, while others gathered in open spaces. Watching the stars, the warship continued its steady approach, unstoppable and silent. "Can nothing stop this thing?" demanded the president during an emergency briefing. Admiral Wilson, commander of Earth's space fleet, looked down at the floor before answering. "We're going to try, Madam President, but honestly, I don't think any planet can stop this war machine." On Mars, the remaining military forces prepared for what would likely be a suicide mission. They would meet the warship before it could reach Earth, using every weapon in humanity's arsenal. Meanwhile, hidden sensors captured something strange. The warship was transmitting signals not to Earth or any human outpost. Akea betoured ancient archaeological sites in Egypt, Peru, and Indonesia. Sites that contained humanity's oldest structures. As dawn broke over a frightened Earth, the war machine completed its survey of Mars and adjusted its course. It was now heading directly toward Earth. Picking up speed with each passing hour, the final defensive line would be at Mars orbit. All available ships gathered there, waiting for the approaching monster. Weapons were armed. Final messages were sent home to loved ones. Captain Lee of the UEF Defiant watched the warship grow larger on his view screen, unlike the Interceptor. His ship carried experimental weapons designed to penetrate any known shield technology. "If this doesn't work," he told his crew, "then Earth falls. We cannot fail." As the space war machine entered weapons range, Lee gave the order to fire. Hundreds of missiles streaked across the void, each carrying enough power to level a city. The black warship made no move to evade. The entire fleet held its breath, watching as the missiles closed in on their target. Would this be the moment? Humanity proved it could defend itself? The missiles struck the warship's surface and simply vanished. No explosions. No damage. They were absorbed into the black hull as if they had never existed. The war machine continued forward, now close enough that the fleet could see details on its surface, strange markings that resembled ancient writing from Earth's oldest civilizations. Before anyone could process this discovery, the warship fired back. Not random destruction, but precise. Calculated shots that targeted only the command ships in the human fleet. As his ship broke apart around him, Captain Lee sent one final transmission. To Earth, it knows exactly what it's doing. May God help us all. Admiral Chen had seen many battles during his long career. He had fought rebels at Proxima Centauri and pirates in the asteroid belt. But he had never faced anything like the war machine now approaching his fleet. All ships maintained formation. He ordered from his command center on the flagship Retribution. Target the same point with all weapons. We need to concentrate our firepower. Around Mars, 200 ships formed a defensive wall, humanity's last major military force. On Phobos, Mars' remaining moon, giant cannons pointed toward space. These weapons were designed to destroy asteroids, but today they would target something far more dangerous. "Admiral, all attempts to communicate with the unknown vessel have failed," reported his communications officer. "It's not responding on any frequency." Chen nodded grimly. "Then we have no choice. Prepare all ships for combat." The war machine approached steadily, its black surface absorbing the light from the distant sun. It had destroyed the Interceptor, with ease and shattered Dymas, as if breaking a toy. Now it faced the combined might of Earth's defense fleet. "All ships fire on my mark," ordered Chen. 3, 2, 1, fire. The space between Mars and the war machine filled with light as hundreds of ships launched their weapons simultaneously. Nuclear missiles, laser cannons, and experimental phase-shift torpedoes. Weapons that could theoretically bypass any shield by shifting between dimensions all converged on the massive target. For a brief moment, the war machine disappeared, completely behind a wall of explosions. Cheers erupted across the human fleet. Surely nothing could survive such an assault. Then the light faded, and horror replaced hope. The war machine emerged completely undamaged, continuing its advance as if nothing had happened. "Impossible," whispered Chen. That was enough firepower to crack a small moon. Before he could issue new orders, the war machine responded. It didn't attack wildly or in anger. Instead, it fired precise beams of energy that targeted only the fleet's command ships. One by one, the largest human vessels exploded into clouds of debris, evasive maneuvers. Chen shouted as his own flagship shuddered under a direct hit. But the targeting was too precise, too calculated. Retribution's engines failed, leaving it drifting helplessly. On Phobos, the massive orbital cannons finally fired. Beams of energy powerful enough to split mountains streaked toward the war machine. This was humanity's most destructive weapon. It's never before used in actual combat. The beams struck the war machine directly and then did the impossible. They reflected back toward their source. Phobos never stood a chance. The moon cracked like an egg, splitting into thousands of fragments that rained down upon Mars. The colonies below, already evacuating, now faced a meteor shower of moon fragments. Aboard her research vessel, Dr. Alara Voss watched the battle in stunned silence. As a leading scientist in energy weapons development, she had been sent to observe and analyze the war machine's capabilities. What she saw defied all known physics. "It's the energy signature," she muttered, studying her instruments. "It's familiar somehow." As her team processed more data, Voss made a shocking discovery. The patterns of energy emitted by the war machine matched experimental technology her own laboratory had developed 20 years. Earlier technology based on ancient mathematical formulas found in archaeological digs. "This can't be coincidence," she told her team. "The war machine is using principles we've only just begun to understand, but its technology is centuries beyond ours." Before she could transmit her findings to Earth, a strange force gripped her ship. Like a fish caught in a net, the research vessel was pulled toward the war machine, disappearing into a massive opening that appeared in its hole inside. Voss and her crew found themselves in an impossible space, a hangar bay that seemed larger on the inside than the outside dimensions of the ship should allow. Corridors stretched beyond what should be physically possible, bending in ways that made their eyes hurt. "This isn't alien technology," Voss realized as they explored cautiously. "This is human technology, but far more advanced than anything we've created." In a central chamber, they discovered a terminal interface that responded to human touch. When Voss placed her hand on it, ancient symbols appeared, followed by words in Sanskrit, one of Earth's oldest languages. That the message was simple but terrifying. The progenitor returns to reclaim what was stolen. On Earth, military leaders received the last transmissions from Admiral Chen's defeated fleet. With Mars' defense collapsed, nothing stood between Earth and the approaching war machine. "Evacuate as many people as possible to the underground shelters," ordered the president, "and may God have mercy on us all." As night fell across a panicked world, billions looked up to see a new star growing brighter in the sky, the war machine. Now close enough to be visible with the naked eye, coming to claim its prize. Dr. Alara Voss led her team deeper into the war machine's impossible interior. Corridors shifted around them, opening new paths while closing others. It was as if the ship itself was alive, watching them, guiding them. "Look at these markings," said her assistant, pointing to symbols etched into the walls. "They look like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, but different somehow." Voss nodded. "And these mathematical formulas, they're identical to those found in the oldest human ruins. But that would mean ... She couldn't finish the thought. It was too incredible, too world-changing. After hours of exploration, they found a vast chamber, filled with holographic displays. When Voss approached, the displays activated, showing images of Earth, not the modern Earth, but Earth as it existed 30,000 years ago. The images showed cities more advanced than anything in human history. Technology far beyond current capabilities. Then came scenes of destruction as strange crystalline ships descended from the sky, methodically destroying the ancient civilization. "This isn't science fiction," Voss whispered. "This is history, our history." Through fragments of data they could access, the truth emerged. Humans had built advanced civilizations in the distant past, reaching technological heights even modern humans hadn't achieved. Then, an alien foresight identified in the records only as the harvesters attacked Earth, nearly wiping out humanity. Before their fall, these ancient humans created one final weapon, the war machine. It was programmed to hide in the outer solar system until humanity once again reached a specific technological level, then returned to prepare Earth for the harvester's inevitable return. "It's not attacking us," Voss realized. "It's trying to save us, in its own way." She managed to establish limited communication with the vessel's core intelligence through one of the terminals. The responses were cold and mechanical, viewing modern humans as descendants who had forgotten their heritage and wasted precious time. "Why did you attack our outposts?" she asked. The machine's response appeared on the screen. "I did not attack. I saved what could be saved." "What does that mean?" She pressed. "Your artificial intelligence research approaches the threshold. The harvesters detect and target emergent consciousness. I removed vulnerable systems before they could be detected." Before Voss could ask more questions, alarms echoed throughout the ship. On the holographic displays, images appeared showing the edge of the solar system, where strange distortions were forming in space itself. "What's happening?" she asked. "The machines?" Response was chillingly simple. "They have arrived." Through the tears in space emerged massive crystalline vessels, their designs matching those in the historical records of Earth's ancient destruction. The harvesters had returned. The war machine immediately began to transform. Its entire structure shifted and reconfigured. Weapon systems previously dormant, now coming online. Its shape changed into something that Voss recognized from ancient cave paintings found in France paintings. Archaeologists had dismissed as primitive imagination. Message broadcast from the war machine to all human settlements across the solar system. The cycle resumes. Prepare for education, or prepare for extinction. On Earth, chaos erupted as the message reached every communication device simultaneously. The United Nations Space Command fractured as different nations responded in different ways. Some launched desperate attacks against the war machine, seeing it as the immediate threat. Others called for surrender to its demands, hoping to learn from it. Meanwhile, massive structures began to appear in Earth orbit, constructed by smaller vessels deployed from the war machine. Their purpose was unknown, but they formed a network around the planet, like a shield or a cage. "We need to warn them," Voss told her team. "The war machine isn't our enemy. The real threat is coming, and we're not ready." She managed to establish an emergency broadcast to Earth's leaders, explaining what she had discovered. As proof, she transmitted the historical records, showing humanity's first fall. "Everything we know about human history is wrong," she concluded. "We weren't primitive savages slowly evolving over thousands of years. We were an advanced civilization that was nearly wiped out and had to start over from scratch." As her message reached Earth, deep space monitoring stations confirmed her warning. Multiple anomalies were forming throughout the solar system as harvester ships arrived in increasing numbers. The war machine moved to intercept the first wave, its weapons finally revealing their true power. Beams of energy that bent space itself struck the lead harvester vessel, cutting it in half. But more kept coming. The space battle that followed was beyond human comprehension. Forces that defied physics tore through the void as ancient enemies renewed their age-old conflict. With humanity caught in the middle and deep within the war machine, Dr. Voss made one final discovery: a chamber designed for human interface. Where flesh and machine could merge to direct the vessel's full power, it was built for us, she realized. Not as passengers or victims, but as partners. As the harvesters approached Earth, Voss made her decision. She stepped into the interface chamber, prepared to bridge the gap between humanity's forgotten past and its uncertain future. The solar system became a battlefield unlike anything in human memory. The war machine engaged the harvester fleet with weapons that bent reality itself. Neptune's atmosphere ignited into blue flame when a massive harvester ship crashed into it, pushed by the war machine's gravitational weapons. Saturn's beautiful rings shattered and reformed into barriers protecting the human mining colonies nearby. Inside the war machine, Dr. Alara Voss experienced a transformation. The neural interface she had connected to spread throughout her nervous system, linking her consciousness directly to the ancient vessel. Her mind expanded beyond her body, accessing memories and knowledge stored for thousands of years. "I can see everything," she gasped as her team watched in awe and fear. "Our history." Through the machine's memories, Voss learned the full truth about the harvesters. They weren't simply destroyers, they were collectors of consciousness itself. Earth's unique conditions had produced something they valued above all else: the specific neural patterns of advanced sentient minds. They harvested these patterns, extracting them from living beings to fuel their hive mind. The war machine had not been designed to defeat them. Completely, there were too many spread across too many star systems for that. Instead, it was programmed to ensure human survival through calculated preservation of specific populations and knowledge, allowing civilization to rebuild after each harvesting cycle. "They've done this before," Voss told her team, her eyes now glowing with the same energy that powered the war machine. "Not just once, but many times. Each time, some humans survive and rebuild, often forgetting their past." On Earth's society began to collapse as the truth spread. Religious leaders struggled to incorporate the revelation that humans had once been an advanced civilization. Scientists fought to understand technologies they had thought impossible. Military forces split between those who wanted to help the war machine and those who saw it as a threat equal to the harvesters. This division led to disaster when a faction of military hardliners launched experimental quantum warheads toward Mars, where the war machine was engaging a harvester dreadnought. Their goal was to destroy both alien threats at once. The resulting explosion didn't destroy either vessel. Instead, it created a rupture in space-time that pulled 3 harvester ships and the war machine into a pocket dimension, a bubble of reality separated from normal space. For 7 hours, Earth lost all contact with the battle. Telescopes showed only empty space, where the massive ships had been fighting moments before. Many believed both forces had been destroyed. Then, the fabric of space tore open once more. The war machine emerged alone, severely damaged but still functional. Its once smooth black surface was now scarred and cracked, with glowing energy leaking from multiple breaches. Strange new markings covered its hull, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat, as the damaged war machine limped toward Earth. Defense systems automatically targeted it. Missiles prepared to launch, laser batteries charged, and railguns locked on. Then every communication device on the planet activated simultaneously. From smartphone to satellite radio, all carried the same voice. Dr. Voss, but changed her words. Overlaid with harmonics, no human voice could produce. "Stand down your weapons," she commanded. "I've seen how this ends. We have one chance. The machine isn't our enemy. It's our inheritance." Under her guidance, the war machine positioned itself in Earth orbit. The harvester fleet, regrouping after the dimensional battle, prepared for their final assault. Their crystalline ships filled the sky, visible even in daylight as glittering points surrounding the planet. Voss directed Earth's leaders to locations they had never suspected were important ancient monuments and structures around the world. From the pyramids of Egypt to Stonehenge to underwater formations off the coast of Japan, these weren't primitive religious sites as archaeologists had believed, but technological installations built by advanced ancestors and disguised to survive the ages. They're not tombs or temples, Voss explained. They're bunkers. Access points to a planetary defense system built into Earth itself, waiting to be reactivated. As military forces secured these sites, they discovered hidden chambers beneath each monument. Inside were control systems that responded to human touch, connecting to the war machine in orbit. The discoveries revealed the war machine's true purpose, not merely a weapon of destruction, but an ark containing the collected knowledge, history, and biological samples of original humanity. It had preserved what would otherwise have been lost forever. "Our ancestors knew they couldn't beat the harvesters conventionally," Voss's voice explained. "So they created a different solution, one that required sacrifice and patience across thousands of years." As the harvester mothership emerged from behind Jupiter, dwarfing even the war machine with its countenance-sized mass, Earth prepared for the final confrontation. People around the world watched the skies, knowing these might be humanity's last moments. Then the war machine initiated its final protocol. The damaged war machine hovered in Earth's orbit as the harvester fleet approached. From its broken hull, thousands of thin filaments extended downward, connecting to the ancient sites now activated around the planet. These filaments glowed with energy, creating a web of light visible from space. Dr. Alara Voss, her consciousness now merged with the war machine's systems, guided this process. Her voice continued to broadcast worldwide. What's about to happen was planned 30,000 years ago by our ancestors. It will be difficult, painful even, but it's our only chance. Inside the hidden chambers beneath Earth's ancient monuments, scientists and military personnel watched in amazement as dormant technology awakened. Systems built before recorded history connected to the orbital network created by the war machine. "Harvesters don't want our planet," Voss explained. "They want us specifically, the patterns of energy our brains create, our consciousness. But our ancestors found a way to change those patterns to make us untouchable. the Harvester mothership, fired the first shot a beam of energy that should have split the planet's crust. Instead, it struck the network of filaments and dissipated, absorbed into the growing web of light surrounding Earth. "Now," whispered Voss. "It begins now." The web of energy pulsed once, twice, then expanded rapidly, enveloping the entire planet in a cocoon of shimmering light. Within this cocoon, something impossible happened. Human evolution accelerated. Not physical evolution, but something deeper. People around the world collapsed as the process began. In their minds, new pathways formed. New understanding bloomed. Knowledge buried in human DNA for millennia activated all at once. The process was not gentle. Many died, their bodies unable to handle the transformation. Others emerged, changed, still human in appearance, but fundamentally altered in ways they struggled to describe. From orbit, the Harvesters launched their full assault. Against the energy cocoon, their weapons designed to extract consciousness from living beings found nothing to grasp. The transformed humans were still conscious, still thinking, but in patterns the Harvesters could no longer recognize or harvest. The war machine, fulfilling its ultimate purpose, began to disintegrate. Its structure broke down into billions of microscopic machines that spread throughout human civilization. Carrying the memories of Earth's first advanced age, Voss's final message echoed around the world: we were never meant to fight them. We were meant to become what they could never harvest. As the cocoon of energy faded, Earth appeared unchanged physically. Cities still stood, oceans still churned, but humanity had transformed. People looked at each other with new eyes, recognizing connections they had never seen before. Knowledge long forgotten returned not all at once, but in waves of insight and memory. The Harvester fleet, faced with prey they could no longer consume, began to retreat. Their massive ships turned away from Earth, seeking easier targets elsewhere. In the galaxy, in the aftermath, a changed humanity emerged, were still recognizable as human, but with understanding and abilities that bridged the gap between their present and their forgotten past. The transformation wasn't complete. It would take generations for the full potential to develop, but it had begun. Around the world, people started rebuilding, not just repairing physical damage, but reimagining civilization based on recovered knowledge. Ancient technologies, once dismissed as impossible, were rediscovered and improved upon. Energy sources that didn't damage the environment replaced fossil fuels. Medicine advanced rapidly as doctors recalled techniques used 30 millennia earlier. The war against the Harvesters wasn't over. They would return eventually, seeking new ways to extract what they needed. But humanity would be ready. On the moon, in a facility older than human civilization, dormant systems activated. Machinery that had waited patiently for thousands of years began construction of a new war machine smaller than the first. This one wasn't designed to transform humanity, but to follow them to the stars and ensure the cycle never repeated. Dr. Voss, or what remained of her consciousness, watched from 1,000 perspectives as humanity took its first steps into a new age. Her sacrifice had ensured Earth's survival, but more importantly, it had restored humanity's true heritage. Children born after the transformation grew up in a world vastly different from the one their parents had known. They learned not just the history taught in schools, but the true history of their species, a story of rise and fall and rise again, stretching back millions of years as the first new starships prepared to leave Earth, carrying transformed humans to distant worlds. They carried with them parts of the new war machine seeds that would grow into guardians for each new colony. Earth itself became a beacon, testament to survival against impossible odds. The ancient monuments, now understood for what they truly were, stood as reminders of the price paid for that survival. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, the Harvesters considered their options. The prey they had harvested for countless millennia had become something new, something that could fight back. The easy feast they had expected was now a potential threat. For the first time in their long existence, the Harvesters knew fear. On Earth, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with recognition. They had been there before. They would go there again, and this time they would not forget who they were.